All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another interesting video. I hope every single one of you are doing well. Make sure we smash the like button on this one and hit that hype button as well. As most of you guys will know, there was a video uploaded on TikTok with Debbie talking about the petition that they have for Jay's law. Let's listen to what she said.
Hi, I'm Debbie. As a lot of you remember, my son Jay SLATER went missing last June in Tenerife. He was found having tragically fallen to his death. During that time, and to this day, our family and friends have continued to suffer due to the misinformation and lies being spread on social media. There are still videos being made on a daily basis. Families like ours deserve the space to grieve. We need social media companies to do more to protect people and for Ofcom to be held accountable. With Jay's law, we can do this. So I need your help to sign and share this petition.
Now, there are a few things that I want to talk about in regards to what Debbie said, as well as what's been said in the petition. In fact, let's take a look at this petition firstly. So today's the 23rd of November, 2025. I record this at 12:17, and this is where the petition currently stands. So the headline says, require online platforms to remove misinformation targeting bereaved families. It says here, introduce Jay's law, specific legislation obliging platforms to remove organized misinformation. Organized misinformation. You know what? That's what I want to talk about today. Organized misinformation. That's what I want to talk about in today's video. It goes on to say, require platforms to act on speculative, malicious content likely to cause serious harm. Malicious content likely to cause serious harm. So us wanting to know why Jay owed Brandon £200 is malicious content likely to cause serious harm. Us wanting to know why Jay's bank account declined twice to a company that was newly registered by an owner that's connected to Chris Tenerife's partner, I mean, that's malicious content likely to cause serious harm. We just want to know questions based on facts. Because at this point, ladies and gentlemen, all we have is questions. All we have is questions to multiple red flags. People have been speculating and sharing an opinion based on organized misinformation that was provided to Mark Williams Thomas. See, all this talk about Jay stealing a watch, all this talk about Jay having 2 knives, all this talk about Ayub and Rocky being strangers, the whole entire story about why Jay went to an Airbnb, might as well say the whole story, the whole Jay SLATER case is organized misinformation. It was all organized and it was misinforming because Jay never had 2 knives. Jay never made a video to say that he's with this Somali kid and he's off to sell this Rolex that he had stolen for £10,000. And then go to the Airbnb, make a second version and add another Somali kid and change the word Rolex to AP. Jay never would have done that. It's that right there, ladies and gentlemen. I call that organized misinformation. When you have messages like this, ladies and gentlemen, from June of 2024, which I would call organized misinformation, ladies and gentlemen. And there's plenty more. Let's actually look at this. This is a message that Chris would have sent to Francesca. One of the messages that he would have sent to Francesca back in June. Now, as far as we are aware, I don't think Debbie and Chris would have known each other in June, unless Chris lied about that, because Chris told us he never spoke to Debbie until after Jay's body had been found. Okay, cool. So explain this then. Send me the audios, please. Now, to give context to this, ladies and gentlemen, a fake Johnny Vegas, he's actually the real Johnny Vegas, but he's a fake Johnny Vegas for this story because he wasn't the real Johnny Vegas in this story. Ayub Qasim was. And in my opinion, Chris knew that. But this Johnny Vegas that was talking to Francesca in this live was planted purposely. He was framed. He was actually being framed. And he went on that live stream to say, listen, you guys are getting me mixed up with someone else. See, Chris was trying to play along. Chris was sending this guy messages like, Johnny, call me on my private. He was acting as if he knew who this Johnny was. But the problem is, he got the Johnnies mixed up. One thing we don't know is where Mark Williams Thomas got the surname Vegas from. But he got that name Vegas from somewhere. The reason I say that is because when we listen to all of the audios, Brandon only mentioned Johnny by Johnny. He never said Johnny Vegas, as far as I remember. Now, again, we don't know where Mark Williams Thomas got the name Vegas from, but he let the world know Johnny Vegas. Now, what's actually happened, and I think this was, again, premeditated, because they knew this was going to happen. people online started searching for Johnny Vegas. Who did they come across? This Johnny Vegas, who has an AP watch, he's holding a Hennessy bottle, and it's over a sink. People start putting two and two together. Hold on, AP watch, Hennessy bottle. This is mind games for you. But they're throwing this Johnny under the bus. They might know this Johnny, they might not even know this Johnny. But this Johnny has nothing to do with whatever happened that day. And he went on the live stream to let everyone know, listen, you've got me mixed up. Everyone's sending me messages telling me about being in Tenerife and blah, blah, blah. I wasn't even in Tenerife. You've got me mixed up. But that was them playing mind games. And Chris was involved in playing those mind games. Because what he wanted to make it look like, ladies and gentlemen, is that Mark Williams Thomas was talking a load of shit. Why would he back in June want to make it look like Mark Williams Thomas is talking shit when Brandon's the one who told Mark Williams Thomas his name was Johnny? Not only that, we have Ayub at the second inquest on the final day when he revealed that picture of Jay smiling, also confirming he was Johnny Vegas. What was Chris running around doing in June? What was he running around doing in June? Sounds like organized misinformation to me. Let's actually read this. And there's plenty more, ladies and gentlemen. Things that Chris said that are extremely questionable, and in my opinion, can only be deemed as misinformation. Bearing in mind, ladies and gentlemen, after what him, Luggy, and Ayub have been doing online ever since Jay's body has been found, I'm pretty sure they have broken every single law that would fall under Jay's law. They were and have been, up until this day, putting together organized misinformation. That includes Ayub with his fabricated statements that he published on TikTok with my name on it. That's organized misinformation, along with the things that Sluggy was doing on his YouTube channel. And ladies and gentlemen, this will all stem back, for Chris and Sluggy, this will stem back to June. They have been online spreading organized misinformation since June. They were purposely trolling and having arguments with people online to the point where there were fallouts. There were fallouts. People were going on live streams. They're saying this, that, the other. They're really sharing their opinions about how they feel. And this is all before Jay had been found. It got to a point where it actually got personal with so many of these people. And the audacity of trying to use that against us when you're the ones that instigated that. You know, Chris and Sluggy, they're the ones that instigated that. They're the ones that started the online trolling. At that point, him, Ayub, and Sluggy, and there was various others, but those three were together, leaving comments, making videos, creating fake accounts. And within that, they've been spreading misinformation. But if we take this back to Jay's case in general, the whole case is nothing but organized misinformation. Because all of the things that were brought up in the first inquest were deemed conspiracy, although it was the friends that made that up. Why would Debbie think, oh, well, Ayub told me that Jay never stole a Rolex, so it must not be true then. Let me just put it to bed. So who posted the video and put it into the WhatsApp group? Who made the second version? Anyway, let me quickly get this screenshot out of the way, and I'm probably going to have to wrap this up because I've got to shoot off somewhere, but we're going to be back with another video. Tenerife in June is basically saying to Francesca, off the back of this live that she would have had with the fake Johnny, but the real Johnny, send me the audio, please. It's better for you if you send to me anonymously. The Guardia Civil are listening to everything I do. The Guardia Civil are listening to everything you do. Sounds like misinformation. Why would they be listening to everything Chris does? Think about it. If they find something that you and I haven't disclosed, that's not good, partner. What? I feel for what you went through and what you are going through about your family member. Francesca explained to me that she told Chris about a situation that happened in her life. He's used that in this message. He then says, you can change that, Spud, but you can't change things for the better in this situation. Send me the audios. I will keep my promises. I will call you tomorrow from the search zone, proving that Jay hadn't been found yet. But this was in June, and this is Chris claiming in June to be searching. Now, I don't think Chris was searching in June. Chris didn't start fully searching until July, when he found the glasses, found the little wallet, all fake, all to make it look a certain way. It was all about controlling the narrative. They knew what the end result was going to be. Chris was going to find Jay. Chris was going to be the guy that gave the tip-off to the Guardia Civil. And then comes their story, which is like a Laurel and Hardy episode. Absolute bonkers, and complete nonsense. So when you're talking about being in a search zone, you're making it look like to people online that you are searching in June, but you wasn't searching in June. What you was doing was trying to control an online narrative and make it look a certain way and avoid people talking about a certain thing or stumbling across a certain thing. Then it got to a point where Chris started searching. Now, this is where Chris played mind games again. Because in his first search, when he had his video out, he said, listen, if his phone's there, his phone would have had to have been thrown there. Now, the reason he said that is because he knew most people would have been thinking something along those lines. Most people were thinking foul play, but his job was to turn the foul play group into the accident group. So he went out there and said if his phone's pinged there, then his phone would have had to have been thrown there. That got everyone on side with Chris. He then done a complete 180, which everyone saw like night and day. Everyone questioned him. And that's when a lot of bickering started between him and other people online. He got personal with a number of people. We've got messages where he more or less gets personal with Francesca, and this is back in June. This ain't the message here, ladies and gentlemen. The receipts are there. So the fact that they're using Chris as an example for Jay's law is a massive, massive contradiction within itself. There's something else I want to show you before I wrap this video up, which proves they're involved in organized misinformation. One thing I want to mention for context, Chris keeps sending Francesca messages. She's not responding. She tells me she's not responding. In fact, she was on her live, so she couldn't respond at the time. And then when she got around to seeing these messages, she was extremely disturbed and worried and concerned for her safety. That's Francesca, okay? I spoke to Fran last year, and I spoke to Fran only a couple of days ago. Now look at this last bit, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this last bit. This is bullshit about the two guys at the Airbnb, the two strangers, right? Abe and Rocky. Now look at this last bit, ladies and gentlemen. He says, this is bullshit about the two guys at the Airbnb. The fake detective, referring to Mark Williams Thomas, is the real problem. I need to speak to Johnny. Why is he making it look like Mark Williams Thomas is a fake detective? Why? Why is he trying to paint that narrative? And why would he need to speak to Johnny? See, Johnny is Johnny Vegas, right? And according to Brandon, Johnny is the person that took Jay to the Airbnb, right? So why is Chris making it look like Mark Williams Thomas is a liar, he's a fake detective, and he needs to speak to Johnny? What was the goal? What did you want to achieve? Oh, yes, it was about controlling the narrative. It was about organized misinformation, ladies and gentlemen, because Chris wanted to use the fake Johnny Vegas that everybody was hounding, who had the AP and the Hennessy bottle. They wanted to use him. They wanted to use his audio saying he's got nothing to do with this as a way of saying what Mark Williams Thomas is saying is complete nonsense. Don't worry, we're going to find Jay. And he did find Jay, didn't he? He did find Jay. See, he's the guy doing this in June to try and control the narrative, to try and make it look a certain way. And he's the guy in July that finds the body. We are going to get back to more of those screenshots, ladies and gentlemen, so don't go anywhere. But there's something else, ladies and gentlemen. And then this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is again organized misinformation. He says, I've been targeted by online conspiracy theorists simply because I did something they weren't prepared to do. All right, so let's forget what he's saying in the first paragraph, because what he's saying in the first paragraph paints him out to be a victim. You're not a victim, Chris. You've never been a victim. Regardless of what you've had going on with Duncan Smith, you're not a victim. See, I've never mentioned anything about your father. I don't even know who your father is. But why have people sending me emails of screenshots of your father talking about me, talking about shutting my channel down? I've never said anything about your dad. But what's he protecting? Why is he out to get me? Why? What for? What have I done? But forget that. The audacity of these guys who have organized misinformation from the get-go, who are now playing the victims, and then spread even more organized misinformation by saying this. The UK Parliament are backing us to have the trolls, he should be talking about himself, but he says to have the trolls shut down and charged for libel, defamation, cyberbullying, harassment, and malicious content. That is misinformation. That is what you call organized misinformation. You are lying. Government aren't backing you, are they? You've got an MP called Sarah Smith, who's probably done a fantastic job throughout her career, who is standing with Debbie. And I get that. But what about if we send an email over to Sarah Smith with all of the information and all of the facts and all of the evidence that proves you have been involved in some form of organized misinformation? Then how would she feel about that? What about Shane Urell as well? Because I know Shane Urell is fully supporting Debbie. See, for us, ladies and gentlemen, we're not trolls. Debbie, I want you to understand that we're on your side. In my opinion, you are being played by the very trolls who are now trying to make you silence us because they don't want us digging out the truth. But this is proof right here that the organized misinformation, ladies and gentlemen, started with this case. This case is the real organized misinformation. It was organized and it was misinforming thousands of us about what really happened to Jay Slater. But I want to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be back with another one. Make sure you guys don't go anywhere. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if we're newly watching, but most importantly, leave all of those thoughts and all of those comments down below. I need to know exactly what you are thinking after watching that video right there. Subscribe to the channel if we are new. Make sure we hype this video, like the video, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.